How can you rank in ChatGPT? Let's break it down. ChatGPT has exploded as the go-to search alternative. We're seeing a massive shift where people are bypassing Google entirely and heading straight to ChatGPT for answers. This is because it gives them direct conversational responses without wading through 10 blue links and 3 pages of ads. If your business isn't showing up in ChatGPT's responses, you're invisible to this growing segment of searchers. That's millions of potential customers you're just missing. So how do you actually get ChatGPT to recommend your business? Well, it comes down to 3 core principles that I've tested and validated. These aren't theoretical, they're the exact framework I use with my clients to get visibility in AI search. Let's break them down. Principle number 1, master the fundamentals of good SEO. And I'm not talking about SEO tactics from 2015. I'm talking about modern semantic SEO that actually works these days. Here's what most people get wrong. They immediately jump into keyword research tools, pull up search volumes, and start cranking out content around those keywords. That is a huge mistake, mainly because you're starting from the wrong place. Instead, the place to begin is actual customer conversations. What questions are your customers asking in sales calls? What objections come up repeatedly? What problems are they trying to solve when they find you? These are the real conversations that matter. Now, once you've captured these questions and pain points, you need to reverse engineer these topics. What is a broader theme? What related questions cluster around this core problem? And so on. This gives you the content that is naturally interconnected and comprehensive, which is exactly what the search algorithms reward. Here's the critical shift you need to understand. Search algorithms today are semantic. They are not keyword driven. Google isn't looking for exact match keywords anymore. It's understanding things like intent, context, and meaning. ChatGPT works pretty much the same way. It's parsing your content for depth and relevance. It's not counting how many times you used a specific phrase. So focus on creating genuinely useful, high-quality content. Answer the question thoroughly, provide context, give examples, and make it something a human would actually want to read. Here's what you should not do. Don't stuff your pages with FAQ sections just because you heard LLMs love Q&A formats. That's cargo cult SEO. If the FAQ adds value, great, include it. But if you're jamming in 20 tangentially related questions just to game the algorithm, you're wasting your time. And whatever you do, don't start publishing thin, short-form content thinking it'll help you rank faster. I've seen people do this, and they even call it ChatGPT articles sometimes, where they publish dozens of 300-word pages hoping to blanket coverage. What actually happens is Google sees low-quality content, your site authority tanks, and guess what? When your Google rankings drop, your ChatGPT visibility drops right along with it. The bottom line here is that good SEO principles aren't optional. They're the foundation on which everything else is built on. Principle number 2, master the art of content chunking. This is where most content completely falls apart for LLM ranking. Here's what I mean by chunking. Each section on your page needs to be logically distinct. If you're covering multiple concepts, each one should get its own clearly defined section with information that doesn't bleed into other sections. Think modular, clean boundaries, and so on. The reason this matters is because when ChatGPT scans your content, it's looking for clear answers to specific questions. If your information is all tangled up, where you're mixing, say, 3 different concepts in one rambling section, the LLM can't cleanly extract what it needs. It can't connect your answer to the user's question with any sort of confidence. So answer questions directly and be very explicit. If someone asks, for example, how do I choose a CRM? Don't bury the answer in paragraph 4 after a long preamble about the history of CRMs. Lead with the answer and then provide supporting detail. Here's the mindset shift that you need to make. Stop writing like you're crafting a magazine feature. Magazine writing is designed to pull readers through a narrative, build suspense, and make them keep reading. That's great for engagement, but it's not so good for LLM parsing. Instead, think of someone rapidly scanning your page. They should be able to understand your entire argument just by reading the headers. That's the real test. Look at your H2s and H3s. Do they roll up logically into your page title? Can someone just read those headers and know exactly what you're covering and in what order? If your H2 says getting started or key considerations, that doesn't really tell me anything. But if it says something like choose a CRM based on team size, not features, now I know exactly what that section delivers. This is about information architecture. Your headers aren't decorative. They're signposts that tell both humans and LLMs what's coming. Now here's another trap people fall into. They start needlessly adding tables, infographics, comparison charts, all because they hear LLMs love structured data. Well, don't just add elements to game the system. If a table genuinely makes information clearer, use it. But if you're forcing structure where it doesn't belong, you're just cluttering your page. Here is really simple. Be helpful and answer the question thoroughly. Give complete information in a logical structure. That's really it. When you nail chunking, LLMs can pull your content confidently because they know exactly what each section delivers. Clear chunks equal clear citations. That's an easy way for you to remember this principle. Principle number 3, expand your brand footprint strategically. Now, this is the multiplier that takes you from occasionally showing up in GPT to being the default recommendation. Here's what ChatGPT actually favors: trusted brands. Now, how does it determine trust? By how often your brand appears in credible conversations across the internet. If your company name, your insights, and your content keep showing up in multiple places, say for example, in articles on your blog, on Reddit, in LinkedIn discussions, in podcasts, ChatGPT starts recognizing you as an authority. It's essentially a pattern recognition machine. The more touchpoints you create, the larger your footprint. And the larger your footprint, the more likely ChatGPT surfaces you as a trusted source. So the play here is really simple. Increase your brand presence across channels, not just your website, but everywhere. Now, this is where people immediately think repurposing. And yes, repurposing is part of the strategy. But here's a critical distinction. Repurpose intentionally for each channel. Don't just copy-paste your blog post into a LinkedIn article, chop it into tweets, and call it a day. That's pretty lazy, and it shows. Each channel has its own context, its own audience expectations, its own format requirements. LinkedIn, for example, wants professional insights with a human voice. Twitter needs punchy standalone value. YouTube needs visual storytelling. Reddit wants genuine participation in community discussions, not some promotional garbage. Badly repurposed content just doesn't make the cut. It gets ignored by audiences, which means it creates zero footprint for you. You're just adding noise and not really building your brand. Instead, keep user experience top of mind. Ask yourself, does this format actually serve the audience on this platform? Would someone on LinkedIn genuinely benefit from this? Would a Reddit community find this helpful, or does it feel like spam? The more value you squeeze out of one core piece of content, the better. One deep research piece, for example, can become a LinkedIn article, a Twitter thread, YouTube breakdown, a podcast episode, and so on. But each version needs to be crafted for that specific channel. You need to stop thinking in channels and start thinking in ideas instead. You have one big idea. Now ask, how does this idea need to be communicated on LinkedIn or any other channel? How does it work as a visual on YouTube, and so on? It's the same core idea but different expressions. And that is how you build brand footprint at scale. When your brand shows up consistently across multiple platforms, delivering real value in formats that work for each audience, ChatGPT starts seeing you everywhere. And when it sees you everywhere, it assumes you're important. And that's when you become the go-to recommendation. So there's your system. Build a strong SEO foundation, plan your content format strategically, and optimize each piece for its platform. Once you start executing this consistently, you will start showing up in ChatGPT as the trusted answer in your space. Now, if you want to go deeper on any of this, or if you need help implementing this for your business, drop a comment below or reach out directly. I'd love to hear what you're working on. And thanks for watching.